like to consider at some point to review. When it's the matter of education for the blind, especially, there is a huge gap that has to be filled. Currently, education of the blind is limited to either Braille or to communicated verbally, so much so that the exam system in place also requires the candidate to have a sort of a runner or a writer, as you may call it, recording their answers for them, which in my opinion does not reflect the caliber of the candidate at all. It could be understated or overstated. So technology, as we say, is the game changer. It's light years ahead. I would like an emphasis on, for people like me, when blindness hit them in the epic of our careers, to have gadgets in place which can make access to printed matter readily available, keeping Braille as a very important alternative, of course. So is the government considering an avenue to explore to bring in technology into the realm of special education, and particularly in case of the blind?
Thank you for the suggestion, and obviously technology, and just 2 days ago I had a small presentation from people who have developed various apps for special education. And I'm not aware of special apps for the blind, but certainly technology can make a lot of difference, and we would welcome any specific suggestion. Absolutely.
Another question? Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is for the Minister of Education. Sir, my name is Nouman Khan Azimi, and I'm the Pakistani first transmissional coach. Mostly I have lived my life in Chicago from 18 years. Now from last 1 year, I am in Pakistan on the way back of giving, I have visited universities, Civil Service Academy, Forest Service Academy, and I particularly work on soft skill training. Do you have any department I can go to, and people like me who travel from overseas, we don't have networking. हमारे कोई रिश्तेदार नहीं है जो आपके साथ connect करवा देंगे. We don't have any network. Do you have a department where we can go and give our proposal, and if you guys like, we can have a government and private collaboration?
I'm sorry, the acoustics of this hall are so bad that I only got half of what you said. Are you saying कि आपकी को connection नहीं है या क्या?
जी, people who are overseas, we want to come back and contribute to our country. Right. Do we have a department जिस तरह आपका overseas के लिए एक department education है?
Right. Well, we have something called the National Talent Pool, which is an organization which was set up in the 70s. And the purpose of that organization was to bring overseas Pakistanis and for a short period over here, either in the universities or some organization where they can impart knowledge for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, and then they can go back. And that National Talent Pool is still there, and that's its purpose. So I think if you mean people who are coming back and resettling in Pakistan, that's a different matter altogether. But for temporary visitors with specialized skills, I think there is a mechanism which is available. We need to publicize it, obviously, so that people know about it.
Yeah, we also have a question on this side.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Nasir Afzal, Vice Chancellor, University of Sahiwal. My question is to the Minister of Education. Yes, there is a lot of demand for new schools, new universities, which probably our resources may not allow at this point. But the very good suggestion is that whatever existing resources we have, we should use them maximally, simply by starting classes 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 to 6, and 6 to 12. Same resources, physical resources, more teachers can be employed, and huge number of students can be accommodated by just simple solution of making more than one session a day. Thank you.
I think you may be aware, or if not, that we have already started a multiple usage of buildings program. In KP, they have started afternoon classes, and we have now in the interprovincial conference which we are having on Monday, this is one of the issues that we are going to discuss, that because we have access issues, and particularly after class 5 we have primary schools, but we don't have secondary and schools going beyond primary. So in the same premises, if a middle school can be started, that will allow, give access to those children who give up education because there is no school available. So we are already familiar with that, and we are already working on that.
Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Dua
I'm
Aslam.
Air Commodore Shoaib, retired. Thank you very much, Minister, for giving us a brief on lower education level, O level, A level, and higher education level. But I think it was a very short and crispy. We need some more details on that. I'm very thankful to the Minister that you people are working on revamping of our education, because the education of our children, that is the future of this nation. Beside the lower level, I would like to highlight one aspect, critical aspect of our higher education level. Our students, they do a graduation from Pakistan, from maybe Qaid-e-Azam or Islamic University, 4 years course with the project. Once they go to England, they do give them admission in the masters because they're getting the money from that. But the moment we go for the scholarship, they say it is not grade 1 or level 1 BS or BS honors. I, as a case study, I would like to present my daughter's case, that she did her with a graduation from Islamic University with a good grade, 3.86 CGPA, with the project, and she got admission in masters in England. She did her completed, and she got an Imperial College admission, and this, which is the 4th ranking in the world in the medicine. And they said, so sorry, we can't take you because this is not first level grade. There's a NARIC.
Sorry,
England.
your first level what? First level grade?
First level of that, they do not consider it as a BSc honors, which make our student eligible for the scholarship, presidential scholarship. And sir, it is not like only at that level. In even Pakistan also, once she applied for the Commonwealth scholarship. Sorry, I'm putting up the case for my daughter as a case study so that we can understand it in a better way. Once she applied for the Commonwealth, the Pakistani HEC, they said, sorry, you are, she got a distinction from England, distinction, that means gold medal. But they said you have a 72%, whereas Pakistani graduate students from masters, they have 90%, so you cannot be eligible. So they throw her away. So my point is that the education curriculum level of our high level, education level, that needs to be reviewed, one thing, so that whatever we teach to our students during those 4 years, that is accepted at international level. Few people may say that all the international people, universities, they have a different grading system, but at least for the England, we should be able to tell them, our students, they have done BS 4 years with the project, they should be considered masters. Thank you very much.
Well, as I said earlier on, the problem, the real challenge that we have is of quality, and even in our higher education, and quality comes with constant curriculum review, that you keep pace with all the major developments in that particular discipline, and you incorporate them into your curriculum so that your students are up to speed with whatever is going on in the world. Obviously, that's a very big challenge, and therefore, whether it's England or any other place, our education levels should be of that level that the student can go and easily acquire a degree or even a scholarship abroad.
We have a question here.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, my question is for the Federal Minister for Education. My name is Rosheen Hayat. I'm a participant of the Teachers Training Program being conducted by Allama Iqbal University. So since I'm a participant, I sort of have an idea of what the education system is in Pakistan is like. I have had the privilege of studying in a lot of schools abroad because of my because my father held some positions abroad. What I really liked about those schools, and I would like to see implemented in Pakistan, is the skills training being added to the national curriculum. You've already mentioned that skills training programs are being set up in Pakistan separately. But what I'd like to see is them being added into the national curriculum and our regular students also being taught different skills like they are being taught abroad. Thank you.
No, I entirely agree with you. We want to do that, and in fact, there are models of, M-Tech, Metric Tech, some such models are already there, and we are right in the midst of trying to see what can we incorporate, how can we do this. Start with Islamabad as usual to see it as a lab, and then scale it up nationally.
Okay. One last question.
But
on
good
this side,
suggestion.
please.
Last two questions, please.
Last two questions. Okay, we have two more to go.
My name is Abdul Rauf Tabani. I'm a civil engineer, but now in business. So I've got two questions. One is for General Hayat, but he's not here. That our policies are very softly being told to the world. So don't you think it is being wrongly read by our neighbors, and actions may be a bit bad what we are thinking about? A. Secondly, about the Skills Training Center. I've just visited yesterday Hazard Training Institute, which has a capacity of 10,000 skills trainers per year. And they are under Ministry of Education, under your ministry. And they were looking forward to support the skills training, because what we are talking about is schools, colleges and universities, these are more towards big cities, mega cities. Our people need skills training and placement in Saudi Arabia and Middle East and Far East. Also nurses training. These training centers are all available in Karachi also by the name of MITI, and in Islamabad I have seen a very big, huge under your ministry. But there are no students because people can't afford even that training. So I would request you to kindly look into those areas where already skill training centers are available in very good and modern training centers. But they don't have students because you have to drag them out from the sub areas, villages and all those places. The city students won't go for those skills training. You have to prepare a program to bring those students from villages. That is the most important thing, and to support those institutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Sorry, yes, please.
No, I was going to say that absolutely we have an organization called NAVTEC, which is already doing various kinds of skills training. We are working with industry, we are working with various foreign governments, our overseas Pakistani ministry, we are working for them to identify what kind of skills are required. Nurses, incidentally, we don't want to send. There's a huge backlog of nurses in Pakistan. So we want, but we want excellent nursing schools also over here. And we have just prepared a 21 billion intervention as far as the skills program is concerned. So, but as I said earlier in my remarks, that government is a complicated animal. So it takes a very tortuous path trying to get things done. But we are doing our best, and there are nearly 3 million people who come into the job market every year. Most of them are untrained. So, it's a huge task. We have to train these people.
Last question at the back, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shahira Moin. I have developed a program, a cleanup program for the Twin Cities and the northern areas of Pakistan, anti-pollution and cleanup program. My suggestion is where we talk about developing a single national curriculum, it's very important that we have students, all our young lot, working for anti-pollution, and because I believe they will be the agents of change if anything has to be done. They are the strongest members we have for this cause. I believe that if this is added in the national curriculum, it would be very, very beneficial for the entire Pakistan. Our ecosystem, our environment, our atmosphere is in a state of emergency and is deteriorating day by day. We need to start working on this. We need to have it in the curriculum so that there is a civic sense. There are children who grow up understanding the hazards of plastic, understanding the hazards of pollution, and working for the betterment of our environment. Thank you.
I entirely agree, and this government's Clean and Green Pakistan program, I tell you, environment is very close to the heart of the Prime Minister. We planted a huge number of trees in KP, and now we are also launched a nationwide Clean and Green program. So clearly citizenship and environment and all of these things should get reflected in the curriculum. And I hope that the eminent people that we have gathered to make the curriculum understand these things and are able to include them. I mean, I don't consider myself an expert in curriculum, but we are trying to put together a group of people who are experts.